Hi, everybody.
Hello, I am Ryan.
I'm Bethany, and today we have a guest with us, my brother Matt.
Hey. And we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
Today we're going to be talking about Dead of Winter, but before we do, let's get into our Pounds and Itches segment. Now, recently, Matt has completed a half marathon. How did that come about? What inspired you to do the half marathon?
Well, starters, I injured my back and attributed that to excessive weight. So I started running to lose weight, lost about 40 pounds, and then just kept running. And eventually decided I wanted to try a half marathon and succeeded.
That's awesome.
Woo-hoo. So what's something that everybody here could learn about that process?
Well, for starters, if you're going to start running, start slow. So many people just try right out of the gate to do long distances, try to run really fast, get burnt out and quit. So I'd recommend just start with a half mile, go at about a 14-minute per mile pace, and then just work yourself up from there. Just slow, consistent progress.
Perfect. That's excellent advice for everybody. But enough about that. Let's talk about Dead of Winter. In Dead of Winter, we are all trying to survive the winter during a zombie apocalypse. All of us are a part of a different unit, but we're all trying to survive as a team. We all have different objectives that we're trying to carry out during this as well. So Ryan's going to go ahead and show you what that looks like, even though it's going to be a very brief overview because there's so many different things that could happen that could change what could happen that it won't be very detailed.
Here is the setup for Dead of Winter. Basically, you have the main colony where everyone's going to start out, and then you have 6 locations where everyone can kind of travel to. Each one of those locations has different items based off of the location. So the police station has more weapons, obviously, and the grocery store might have more food. You can travel to any of these locations by either spending fuel, or you have to roll for exposure, which is either going to do nothing, or possibly injure you, or even kill you if you get really unlucky. On each player's turn, there will be a crossroads card drawn for them by a different player to their right. That player will read the card, and if at any point during that other player's turn the criteria is met, then that player will interrupt them and do whatever the crossroads card said. It might give you extra resources. It might have you hurt some people. But either way, it's going to be unknown to you, and there might be some choices involved as well. It has a really nice story element to the game. Now, this game is a cooperative game, so there is a main objective that every player needs to work towards. It might be collect a certain amount of food. It might be collect a certain amount of zombie bodies. It could be anything. However, every player also has their own secret objective that could be also collecting certain items, or occasionally you're going to come across there being a traitor. There's going to be a traitor card mixed in the roles at the beginning of each game, so when you distribute them, there's a chance that one player is going to be a traitor, or no one is a traitor. And when that happens, they're going to be working against the main objective. But because everyone has their own secret objective, everyone's going to look suspicious because they might be hoarding some things that are needed for the main objective, or they're acting in a way that doesn't make sense to the rest of the group. So it adds another really nice element to the game. So as the game goes on, you might lose the main objective if you lose morale or you don't meet any of the other objectives that are on the specific card. More and more zombies are going to get added based off of what players are in what locations, and also you're going to need to collect food in order to feed the people who are in the colony. The game ends when either the morale goes down to 0, in which case all players lose the game except potentially the traitor, or the round marker goes down to 0 and the objective has not yet been met, or if the main objective has been met, at which point everyone flips over their secret objectives and you see whether or not you made your objective. If every condition on the card has been met, you win. Here is an example of a player board. You have one person who is a group leader of yours, then you have followers down below. You have a secret mission that you're trying to work towards, and you also have some dice that you're able to roll. The dice give you the chance to search for items as well as attack zombies. You can also do things like build barricades, you can clean up waste that's been accumulated, or you can even attract zombies to your location if you want to manipulate the board in that way. The player aid also does things like tell you what actions you can take and how a round turn is going to go.
I really enjoyed the crossroad cards. I like the anticipation of it. Sometimes nothing happens. Sometimes something huge happens. Maybe that huge is bad or good, and you just don't know. So and a different player draws your crossroad cards. It's really exciting and very stressful in a good way when you're like, does anything happen? And they're like, maybe. So you don't know if what you're going to do is going to cause something to happen. And I really like that.
I like the variability of the primary objectives. There are a lot of different primary objectives, and you can actually choose between difficulties. We've played a lot of games recently, haven't played the same objective twice, so that's pretty solid.
I really love the theme of this game. Everything kind of makes sense psychologically as far as what you would do in the zombie apocalypse. You would hoard certain things back for yourself. You would try to help your other people survive. You have to fight everybody off. Everything just makes sense, and I really appreciate that aspect.
I like the standees in this game. They're, I think, probably the perfect size for a game like this. Regardless of where you are on the table, you know where everybody's at. You know what's going to come up. You know where the zombies are. And then it doesn't overpower the gameplay at all, so you can still see the other things that you need to see. I just really like the size of the standees.
I like the construct of the small town. You got the school, you got the police station. It's all very thematic. If you want guns for your characters, ideally, you go to the police station. There's probably going to be some there for you. If you need food, you go to the grocery store. So the setup of the small town, it's very thematic, and I like the different percentages of items that you get at the different sites.
Yeah, all that makes sense. All right, so in a horror game, you really want kind of a horror aspect. But I will say that for this particular game, I would put an age limit on it. Maybe, 14. Use your own judgment, obviously. But there are some pretty adult themes in this, like death, suicide, strong language. So keep that in mind as you're playing this game. Maybe not one for the kids.
Okay, well, one of the negative aspects of the game, and it's not necessarily a negative thematically because it does play into the whole zombie apocalypse, is how quickly things can turn on you. Like, when you lose control of the situation, it's not gradual, it's instant. Especially if you're at the colony, because there is an outbreak mechanic which just can tear through everybody and cost you the game in one turn, unless somebody just owns up and commits suicide. So that's a little bit harsh, but it is still very thematic.
So overall, I think The Dead of Winter is a great example of a horror game doing things right. It's super fun. There's a lot of tension, a lot of unknowns going on, a lot of spooky elements as well. I think the story element is fantastic as the game goes on. So this is a game I recommend for our spooky month of October.
This game is rich in theme. If you are a gamer or you have a gaming group that really likes theme, I think this game would fit really well for you. Everything that you do makes sense. The positive and the negative outcomes all make sense. There's not a single action that you can take or a circumstance that doesn't align with what's happening in the game. So I just think this is dripping with theme.
Yeah, very thematic. You can really engross yourself into the small town, the different groups of survivors coming together for a single season to try to survive together. It's just, across the board, a solid survivor game.
All right, well, that's our thoughts on Dead of Winter. Remember, we've got more spooky games all October long, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any of those. We also are on Facebook, Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews. We are on Twitter, at Ryan and Bethany1. We're on Instagram, at Ryan and Bethany. We also have our blog on BoardGameGeek.com. It's called Pounds and Inches, where we talk a little bit more about our health journey and how we're doing there.
All right, well, this is Ryan. I'm Bethany with guest Matt, encouraging you to play games, live healthy, and create moments. Bye, guys.
Everyone.